are going to understand about the process of digestion. Now, as I have already mentioned, there are several parts and organs of digestive system, but without proper cooperation and coordination of different organs, a digestion of food is not possible. So how these things takes place, we are going to explain today. The first organ or the part of digestive activities where taking place is in the mouth. The mouth is formed by the cheeks, as you know, hard and soft palate. Digestion starts in mouth with a breakdown of large particles of food into smaller particles. Saliva secreted by 3 pairs of salivary glands. Now, saliva secretes an enzyme known as salivary amylase, which helps in the digestion of carbohydrate, and the enzyme breaks polysaccharides into maltose, a disaccharide consisting of 2 glucose molecules. What is the function of this mouth or the salivary amylase? Let's look at it. Our mouth helps to, or rather teeth help us to cut, tear and pulverize food by the activity of teeth, right? Now, secretion of saliva by the salivary glands often softens, moisten and dissolves the food and cleanses the mouth and the teeth. Salivary amylase present in the saliva splits starch into smaller fragments and secrete lingual lipase from lingual glands. The next part is the pharynx or esophagus. Now, the pharynx receives a bolus from the oral cavity and it passes into the esophagus. Swallowing occurs in the pharynx. It is a reflex action performed automatically without the conscious thought by the process known as peristalsis. The esophagus portion of the GI tract that connects to the pharynx opens into the stomach. It is a muscular tube approximately 25 cm long. Skeletal muscle surrounds the esophagus just below the pharynx. Now, there in the esophagus or pharynx, no digestion takes place. The next portion or the part of our digestive system is the stomach. The stomach is a sac-like organ, as you already know, and it contains many enzymes which help in the digestion of the food. The wall of the stomach has a deep folds. Muscular wall of stomach churn and mix the food with gastric juice. The gastric gland produce gastric juice. The gastric juice contain an enzyme called pepsin which digests protein plus hydrochloric acid and mucus. The digestive actions of the stomach reduce the food particles to a solution known as chyme, which contain molecular fragments of protein and polysaccharides, droplets of fat, salt, water and various other small molecules ingested in the food. So, let's understand what is the functions of the stomach in brief. First of all, it mixes saliva, food and gastric juice to form chyme. Secondly, it serves as a reservoir for food before release into the small intestine. Thirdly, it secretes gastric juice which contains HCl, pepsin and intrinsic factors together with a gastric lipase. Fourthly, it secretes gastrines into the blood which stimulate parietal cells to secrete HCl and chief cells to secrete pepsinogen, which will eventually degrade or it will digest the protein molecules. It also secretes somatostatin from the D cells. Somatostatin is released in response to acid, thus turning off the HCl secreting cells and their most potent stimulatory pathway. Now understand about the next part, that is the small intestine. The small intestine is named for its smaller diameter. The diameter of the intestine is 6 meters in length. Here we have already understood that how the small intestine help in the proper digestion of food material, and not only in digestion, in absorption mostly. So as the food is getting digested, the human body, as it needs for energy production, the need for absorption of food is a must thing. So small intestine is a place where the maximum absorption of nutrients or molecules takes place. First of all, there are fine finger-like structures called villi or microvilli, which helps in the absorption of food as it increases the surface area of the small intestine. Secondly, segmentation mix chyme with digestive juices and brings food into contact with the mucosa for absorption, and peristalsis propels chyme through the small intestine. Complete the digestion of carbohydrate, protein and lipids begins and completes, and digestion of nucleic acid as well takes place in the small intestine. The small intestine absorbs about 90% of nutrients and water that pass through the digestive system. Now the next part is the large intestine. The large intestine, already we have mentioned earlier in the video that large intestine contains or includes cecum, colon and rectum and the anal canal, and it is larger in diameter than the small intestine, but it is shorter in length. It does not produce any digestive enzyme. It does absorb water, salt and some vitamins. It also stores indigestible material until it is eliminated at the anus. The cecum, which lies below the junction of the small intestine, is a blind end of large intestine. The cecum has a small projection called vermiform appendix. In human, the appendix also may play a role in fighting infections. This organ is subjected to inflammation, a condition called appendicitis. So let's understand what is the main role or the main functions of large intestine. Large intestine contains microbes or bacteria in the large intestine which helps to convert protein to amino acid, break down amino acid and produce some B vitamins and K vitamins. Thirdly, absorbing some water, ions and vitamins also helps in the proper absorption of the nutrients. Fourthly, it forms feces. Feces, that means the undigested food which is not needed by the body anymore, is defecated out from the body by emptying the rectum. So here we have understood all the parts of this digestive system and the organs that are associated with it, and how they are working coordinately to process the digestion of the food properly. So I hope the video was helpful to you and the concept was clear. So thank you for today. Have a nice day.